Martha's Vineyard. The name itself sounds rather grand, doesn't it? Like a place where ladies in large hats might sip tea, or perhaps where a very wealthy aunt named Martha grew exceptional grapes. It is an island, you see, off the coast of Massachusetts in America. Not a vineyard owned by Martha, though I'm sure some Marthas live there. It is a place people talk about, often in hushed, respectful tones, as if it's a secret club, and in some ways I suppose it is. It has a reputation for being beautiful, for being exclusive, for being where important people go on holiday. I had heard of Martha's Vineyard, of course. Who hasn't? It pops up in films. It gets mentioned in books. Presidents go there. Movie stars, too. It seemed like one of those quintessential American places, like Yellowstone Park, but with more expensive sandwiches. I always pictured it as terribly posh, full of people in pressed linen trousers. Back in the 1970s, a young filmmaker named Steven Spielberg came to Martha's Vineyard. He had a plan, a rather ambitious plan. He wanted to make a film about a giant shark, a shark that terrorized a small seaside town. The film was called Jaws, and it changed Martha's Vineyard forever. It also changed cinema forever, but that's another story. For the island, it meant suddenly being famous, very famous indeed. The fictional town in the movie was called Amity Island, but everyone knew Amity was really Martha's Vineyard. The quiet streets and quaint harbors were suddenly on cinema screens worldwide. The making of Jaws was by all accounts a bit of a nightmare. The mechanical shark, nicknamed Bruce by the crew, rarely worked. It sank, it malfunctioned, it caused endless delays. The weather was uncooperative. So there I was in 2023 on Martha's Vineyard. And yes, I was one of those tourists, the ones looking for Jaws. I couldn't help myself. It's like going to Roswell and not looking for aliens, or visiting Loch Ness and not peering intently at the water. Some things you just have to do. So I set out to find Amity, or at least the bits of Martha's Vineyard that played the part. I had a little list. Key locations, famous scenes. I felt like a detective on a very specific, slightly nerdy case, the case of the missing movie sets. My first stop naturally had to be Edgartown. This charming, historic town served as the main backdrop for Amity. The town hall, the police station, the streets where panic ensued. It was quite something to walk around, knowing that these ordinary buildings had such extraordinary cinematic history. I half expected to see Mayor Vaughan striding down the street, assuring everyone that the beaches were perfectly safe, despite all evidence to the contrary. Of course, he wasn't there, but the buildings were, and they looked remarkably unchanged, which is part of the island's charm, I suppose. Then there was the bridge, the famous Jaws Bridge. While Edgartown was the heart of Amity, other parts of Martha's Vineyard also played their roles. The beaches, for instance, those wide, sandy stretches where unsuspecting swimmers met their doom, or nearly did. South Beach, also known as Katama Beach, was a key location. It's a beautiful spot, long and windswept, perfect for a summer's day. Provided you're not constantly scanning the horizon for fins, it's easy to see why Spielberg chose it. It looks exactly like the kind of idyllic beach that would be shattered by a sudden shark attack. The contrast is what makes it work. Another important location was the waters around the island, the actual ocean where the Orca, Quint's boat, set out on its fateful hunt. The sea off Martha's Vineyard can be quite dramatic, sometimes calm and sparkling, other times grey and choppy, just like in the film. Filming on the open water was notoriously difficult. Seasickness was rampant. The unpredictable Atlantic weather caused constant delays. It makes you appreciate the effort that went into those scenes. When you're watching Roy Scheider battling the shark from the sinking Orca, you're seeing real ocean, real challenges. Menemsha, as I mentioned, was where Quint's shack was located. It's a working fishing village, still very much active today. Section 5. A presidential seal of approval. The Obamas on the Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard isn't just famous for fictional sharks. It's also known for real-life presidents. Several have vacationed there over the years, but perhaps none so famously as Barack Obama and his family. They made the island their regular summer getaway during his presidency, and even after. This, of course, brought a different kind of attention to Martha's Vineyard, less about screaming and more about Secret Service details, and perhaps a renewed sense of chic. If it's good enough for the president, it must be good enough for everyone else, or so the thinking goes. The Obamas reportedly own a home in a more secluded part of the island, near Edgartown, but tucked away, offering privacy and stunning views. You can imagine why they chose it. After the pressures of Washington, D.C., a quiet island retreat must have seemed like paradise, a place to unwind, to ride bikes, to play golf, to eat ice cream, just like any other family on holiday. Albeit a family with a rather large security contingent. Their presence certainly boosted the island's profile, if it wasn't already high enough. Now, let's talk more about Edgartown, because if Martha's Vineyard is the star, Edgartown is surely one of its brightest jewels. It is, quite simply, beautiful in that classic New England way. Think white picket fences, grand whaling captains' houses, cobblestone streets, or at least streets that feel like they should be cobblestone. It's the kind of town that looks like it was designed by a committee of very tasteful architects who all agreed that charm was the #1 priority. And they succeeded. Boy, did they succeed. It's one of the oldest settlements on the island. And it shows in the best possible way. The architecture is stunning. Those elegant white-clapboard houses with their neat shutters and widows' walks. They speak of a prosperous past, a time when Edgartown was a bustling whaling port, and when fortunes were made on the high seas. You can almost hear the creak of the old sailing ships in the harbour and the shouts of the sailors. It's a town steeped in history, and it wears its history with pride, like a well-preserved family heirloom. The harbour itself is a focal point, full of boats. During my 2023 visit, I spent a good deal of time just wandering around Edgartown. It's the best way to see it, I think. On foot, at a leisurely pace. I poked my nose into little alleyways. I admired the perfectly manicured gardens. I read the historical plaques on the old houses, each one telling a little story of sea captains, of merchants, of families who had lived there for generations. It was like walking through an open-air museum, but much more engaging, because it was real, it was all still there. The whaling captains' houses are particularly impressive, large, stately, built to last, with a quiet dignity about them. Many of them are painted pristine white with dark green or black shutters. It's a classic look, timeless and elegant. I tried to imagine what life was like for the families who lived in them, waiting for the ships to return, hoping for good news and good fortune. The houses themselves seem to hold those stories within their walls, silent witnesses to centuries of island life. It's quite humbling, really. I also made sure to visit the old whaling church. It's a magnificent building with tall white columns. It dominates the skyline. The streets of Edgartown are a delight to explore. Main Street, naturally, is the busiest, lined with smart boutiques, art galleries, restaurants with inviting outdoor seating. It's where the action is, where people gather to shop, to eat, to see and be seen. It has a lively, sophisticated atmosphere, but it's not overwhelming. It still feels like a small town, albeit a very well-dressed small town. The shop fronts are tasteful, the signage is discreet, everything is done with a certain understated elegance, which is very Edgartown, but it's the side streets that I found most captivating. The quieter residential streets, like North Water Street and South Water Street, which run parallel to the harbour. Here you find those magnificent captains' houses, set back from the road behind neat hedges or white picket fences. Their gardens are immaculate, full of roses and hydrangeas. It's like walking through the pages of a glossy magazine, except it's real. People actually live in these beautiful homes, maintaining them with obvious care and pride. It's a joy to behold. So what is it about Martha's Vineyard? What gives it this enduring appeal? It's more than just Jaws, though that's a big part of its modern folklore. It's more than just presidential holidays, though they add a certain gloss. It's something in the air, something in the light, something in the way the island makes you feel. It's a place that seems to exist slightly outside of ordinary time, where the pace is slower, the views are wider, and the sea is always present, a constant soothing backdrop to life. The island has a unique character, a blend of New England tradition and a slightly bohemian artistic spirit. It has attracted writers, artists, and creative types for generations, seeking inspiration, seeking peace, seeking a community of like-minded souls. And you can still feel that creative energy in the art galleries, in the craft shops, in the little independent bookstores. It's an island that values culture, that nurtures talent, that understands the importance of beauty, not just in its natural landscapes, but in the things people create.